Well, hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is John Sluice, if we haven't met already. And we are here at the beginning of the new year to talk about everyone's favorite thing, budgets, right? New Year's resolutions come around. We want to clean our houses after the big Christmas. We want to set goals for losing weight or other things. Love goals, love these things, but we get asked quite a bit on budgets, on what are some things that we think about those. And so we wanted to take a moment here to talk to you about setting one of those up, following through some of the things that we see as successful and some of the things that we don't see successful. So join us as we dive into the exciting world of budgets. The first thing I want to get you to think about is to do a little bit of a mind shift. And don't think of it like a budget. Think of it like a spending plan. You're going to hear me throughout this presentation and anytime talk about the idea that says it has to be successful and it has to be something that you want to do. And if people look at it as a budget, they oftentimes feel it negative. They feel like it's a weight on their shoulders, like they have to follow it or they have to be confined by it. That's not what the point of what this is. The point of what you're doing is going through a conscious exercise for you in the end to be master of your plan, to be master of what you have. And so really think of it like a spending plan, not a budget. Think about what you want to use your funds for and how you want to do it. And then that's how we're going to lay it out and what we're going to use as a guide or a plan for the next week, month, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it happens to be, that it's more of a plan rather than a budget. They get to the same spot, right? And I know it's semantics, but it's that fundamental mind shift to saying it's not a weight on your shoulders, rather a freeing opportunity for you to feel good about where you're going and that you are in control. I oftentimes tell people too that budgeting doesn't mean always choosing the cheapest items or having to be confined within that. Rather, it gives you the flexibility to save for things, and when you do finally get into that and you've done what you've said and you've planned for it and you've put the things aside and you've given up other items, that when you do go get the item that you want, whether it's an employee raise, whether it's that favorite sleeping bag that you wanted for camping, or whether it's the car or whatever it is, you have the ability to feel good and know that you have put other things aside so that way you can get this. And when you do get it, you're going to get the one you want, because you've taken the steps to make this to be your plan, your goal, what you wanted, and now when you do it, you have it and you succeeded. That's the most exhilarating and fun experience that you can have, right? Is that you've planned for something and now you get to do it. And so again, I'm going to shift with that budget to rather a spending plan. So you get to spend what you want, so you're choosing what you're not spending and what you are. The second thing that I want to mention here is to keep it simple. You can't tell me how many complicated spreadsheets I've seen. And don't get me wrong, I love complicated spreadsheets, but that's not for everybody. What you have to do is keep it simple. This isn't a sprint, 100-yard sprint. This is a marathon, and this is for the long haul that you're putting this in place. And so if you're not someone that likes complicated spreadsheets or liked overbearing detailed analysis of cost benefits and ROIs, don't do that. That's silly, right? You want it to be successful. If you do like those, don't get me wrong, I love those analysis and those ROIs, but if that's not you, then don't feel that you have to do this. You're going to put in place what is successful for you for the long range. People always say, hey, I can't budget, I can't do this. And I'm like, well, you know what? Can you go run a marathon right now? And most people would laugh and smile. And I'm like, well, think of it that way, right? Give yourself the okay and the grace to know that this takes work and this takes practice, and you're not going to just start from day one from the couch into running a 10K or into a marathon. You got to work your way into it. So your first spending plan that you're going to do isn't going to be this complicated spreadsheet. Rather, it's going to maybe be, I am going to save enough dollars so that I can get that sleeping bag for next Christmas. That's all it is, right? It doesn't have to be something complicated. It can get there and it's going to work into that. But to start out with is keep it simple. Doesn't need to be complicated. You're in it for the long haul. Now within that, what I would tell you is to pick a few key areas or few items, right? I've seen these budgets that have every single line item detailed out, every single income statement on every line on the income statement, or every expense that you have in your personal budget. I like those again, but I would challenge you to focus on a couple key areas that are going to make a difference. And then ask yourself, what is it that in this spending plan I'm going to do differently or that you have control over? For example, let's look at trash. The trash budget line item, does it make sense to budget it? Maybe, but maybe not, right? I mean, the trash comes every single week. You know what it is. It's pretty consistent. So it needs to be in there, right? But you're not going to change it, and short of maybe saying I don't want to use trash. But in most cases, you're going to have trash, you're going to pay the bill, and you're going to move on. So that's an item that it's there, but it's not what you want to focus on, right? Because it can't change anything. You can't go out there and do something differently with your actions to make sure that you're in line with what's there. Or if you do see it going out of whack, that you're not going to necessarily change and say, I think I'm going to decrease using trash. Rather, you're going to do something that you can change. You're going to say, okay, my meals and entertainment, or I like to use the one client service, right? So if you're going to budget that you're going to, or plan on spending $3,000 for the year, if you come in October and you haven't spent anything, well, that gives you the comfort level of knowing that you can do a big Christmas client satisfaction. Or if you come at the end of the year and you spent $3,500 already, well, you know what? Maybe you have to give up maybe that Christmas card or those other things because you've already spent it. And so those are items that you can actually have a tangible outcome based on what you set as a budget. So again, I'm going to repeat that again to say, hey, pick a few key areas, maybe 2, 3 items that you actually can say, hey, here's what my plan is, and here's what I'm going to do if it goes over or under, and you're going to know how you can respond accordingly to it. The third question I get asked all the time as it relates to budgets or spending plans is what app should I use or what program should I use? I'll give you a couple of them here. Every Dollar, Mint has a great one. I oftentimes seen your bank, so if you use Bank of America or Chase or Forefront, they actually have really good apps right built in within their platform that they have. Spreadsheets are great. You could use those. Ultimately, what I would tell you to use is whatever makes sense for you and whatever allows you to get from start to finish. So whether that is the Every Dollar app, whether it's the Mint app, or a common one would be the envelopes. We've all heard Dave Ramsey, he talks about envelopes. If that works, great, use it. You know, the one I love the best is the one that actually works. For me, my personal way that we do it is my wife and I, we have 2 different checking accounts. One where the bills go and one go where our discretionary or the fun money goes. So we put money in every single paycheck that goes right into that one bank account that we can't touch. It's not ours. That pays the bills, it pays the mortgage, it pays all the different expenses that we have coming in that are known. And then we have the one over here that goes under discretionary. And you better believe the first of the month, we're eating steaks and we're shopping. By the 30th of the month, we're on ramen noodles, right? Because what you're doing is you're seeing that your dollars go out. That's one idea that works for us. That may not work for you, for your circumstances. Find the app or the system that works for you. If you're a business, you may have to do it based on class, or you may use it in QuickBooks. You know, you're going to do a budget to actual, put it right in there. You might pull it to spreadsheets. Again, whatever works for you is the one that you are going to want to use. And when I say works, I'm saying works for the long haul. So don't get all geeked out here in the beginning of the year because it's the first of the year you're doing your goals and your budgets, and you make this big complicated spreadsheet that in a week you're going to forget and you're not going to want to keep up with on it. That's where I'm going to bring it right back to where I said in point number 2 is keep it simple. So within the app that you're going to use or the program you're going to use, be realistic in that it's garbage in and garbage out. So if you're going to pick this complicated app that's going to track it all, then you got to keep up on it. And that's okay. And if that works for you, that's great. But don't feel pressured into having to use an app. And oftentimes I tell people that the app forces you to do things that aren't necessarily where you want to spend your time. You know, if you have to put everything in, and if you spend 3 hours a week putting these and coding these things, and then you don't spend the time on actually the analysis of what you're doing and the plan that you're using it for, it was a wasted time. So again, I'm not knocking those apps. I'm saying if they work for you, use them. But then what I'm giving you is the freedom to know it's okay not to use those and use whatever system that works best for you. Now, the final item that I'm going to say, and as I wrap up here, is that I want you to make your spending plan your own. So if you're in charge of your department's budget, or if you're in charge of your family, that it's yours, that you're making it your own, that it is realistic for you, that it is a plan for you, and that you're using it and you're shaping it for how it fits for you. But within that context, what I want you to do is recognize that it's not just you that's in there. So if you are that department owner, or that department head, that you are working with the people in your department and that are going to hold you accountable for this. If you are married, that you're going to talk with your spouse and be realistic about it, that you can't just go it alone, and you have to be cognizant of what that looks like and understand that there's more than just you within this plan. Allow yourself some grace, okay? So this is your plan. You're going to mess up. It's okay. You're going to see that thing that you hadn't put in the plan and you're going to spend it. Or your department is going to go over budget, or it's going to go under revenue. It's okay. It is a plan. What's great about plans is it allows you to correct, right? If you're driving somewhere and you have a plan to go from point A to point B and you take a wrong turn, that doesn't mean that you can't get to point B. That just means that you're going to take a different direction and you're going to adjust. It's okay. These plans aren't written in stone. Correct, adjust, adapt, and move on. That's okay. That's all right. And that's what's fun about it. It's freeing, is that it says, you know what? Whoa, things changed. Now I'm going to do it, right? If I go look back at 2020, I can guarantee you no one planned for 2020. Sitting in January and February of 2020, nobody planned for it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't then, when it happens, that you roll out and you say, okay, well, given the facts and circumstances, here's what we're going to change. Here's how we're going to adapt. That's okay. That's what's exciting about this, is that you are in control. It is yours, and it is what you are saying that you want to do with your money, whether it's your businesses, your departments, or your personal. You're the one in control. That's that freeing part of it. Keep it simple, have fun with it, and then use what's best for you. So again, to wrap up, as I pull this all together, make the mind shift and move it from a budget from the negative into the positive. It's a spending plan. It's allowing you to be in control. Keep it simple. Make it so that you're actually going to use it and that you're going to actually make changes and results based on what you see. Use the system that is best for you. It may not be the same one that your neighbor is using or your other department's using. It's okay. Use what works for you. And then make it your own and then adapt as you go through. Thank you for joining us. Have fun with this and look forward to talking to you in this new year as we work through on all the things that are coming up.